Hi guys, how are you? This is Jarso's lectures. By this video, I come with one very interesting topics, which is about domain naming systems, or the DNS, which I can say. Before proceeding my lectures, if you are new to my YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe my YouTube channel, to like my video, and to share the video and the channel link with your friends. And when I directly proceed, the DNS or the domain naming system. Before, what does it mean? The DNS means it is mandatory to raise the concepts of IP address. IP address is the unique and the universal number, or the unique and the universal address for each and every device on the internet. The unique and the universal. Unique means it is unique for all the computer, for all the device on the internet. It is unique. That means all the computer has to have the unique IP address. And when I say universal, all computer must have to have an IP address as general. It is general. It is universal for all computers. For each of the computers, it is unique. The unique IP address, or the unique address, the unique identifiers of each and every device. It identifies each and every connections of the device to the internet. This is what an IP address means. And the next one is domain name. Domain naming systems, or the domain name is there. This domain name means the same. They are host addresses. Within my previous, with one of my previous video, I have discussed about the URL. URL means we use URL for identification purpose, for identifying the resource on the web or on the internet, which we can say. Within this URL, as one part is the host address. That host address is or the host means actually the server name, which we can say. That is what we can say it is IP address. It is corresponds to one IP address. So domain naming system means the address of web page, which is mnemonic. Mnemonic means for purpose of memorizing the IP address. Since there are many millions of IP addresses, because since there are millions of computers in the internet are there, since there are millions of devices within the internet are there, it is somewhat very difficult for human being to remember each of the IP addresses. For example, in order to access some resources from the server, to remember by its IP address, it is somewhat difficult, because there are millions of servers are there. So it is very difficult to remember each of the server by its IP address. Now this one, as the solution, this domain naming system is to solve this one, in order to map the IP address into the domain name. They are corresponding to each other. For each of just the domain name, there is corresponding IP address. This is now the point. For each and every domain name, there is corresponding IP address. Domain name means the name which can substitute, which we can use in place of IP addresses. As I have said, IP addresses, unique numbers that identifies computers on the internet. Each and every device within the internet must have to have IP addresses. And the domain name is that now, in order to access a resource from their servers, since there are millions of servers are there, it is somewhat difficult to remember to access each and every servers by their IP address. Now this why we use concepts of domain name. We map these IP addresses of the server into name, into domain name, and then we can access instead by what? By their domain name. Domain naming system. Look here, domain naming systems or service or server use it to change the domain name into IP address. There are specific one server, particular server, which is named domain naming server or domain naming service to perform this conversion, this mapping of domain name into IP address. For example, if someone types example.com, look, example.com, this is now domain name. If someone types this one to web browsers, for example, in order to access the Facebook, www.facebook.com. In order to access the YouTube or in order to watch some video, first on the web browser, www.youtube.com. To access the Gmail, we have to type www.gmail.com. Now, those, for example, www.youtube.com, gmail.com, facebook.com, each of them are what? For each of them, there is a corresponding IP address. There is a corresponding IP address. So look, a server behind the scheme maps the name to corresponding IP address. An IP address is similar in structure to this one. IP address, two categories of IP address are there, two versions of IP address are there. IP address version 4 and the version 6 are there. They are different by the numbers of hosts they can use. And they also currently in today's world still version 4 is the dominant IP addresses. For whatever IP version 4 means, it use 4 bytes. Look, this one, the 4 byte numbers, which is in between zeros and the 255 is. Now, IP addresses unique number, which is used to identify connections of the device to the internet. For each and every device, there is unique IP address. Now, the domain name is that. Domain name is, since it is somewhat difficult to remember each of an IP address, since there are millions of servers are there around the world, in order to access resource from the servers, since there are millions of servers, we can't remember each of them by their IP address. That's why we map this IP address into the domain name, or we give the name for each of the servers, and that name should be correspondent to their IP address. We map domain name into IP address. Look, they means they are the same. Either you write by IP address or either you write by domain name, the purpose is the same for identifications. But why we use a domain naming system is that it is somewhat difficult to remember each of the servers by their IP address, since millions of IP addresses are there, and since there is also millions of servers are there, and also that domain name is somewhat better or can simply remembered. For example, for the YouTube, there is www.youtube.com is there. Now this is the same. It is related to the service. The name is, for example, for Facebook, www.facebook.com. Since the name is can be remembered, it is related to the service, we can remember this domain name than that of IP address. That's why we use domain name instead of IP address. Why it is needed to develop domain name? Why we convert this IP address to domain name is that to simplify identifications of resource on the internet, to simplify the resources, identification, for example, to search for some resource on the web or on the internet. Rather than using IP address, it is simple to use domain names, because by domain name we can simply remember. In case of IP address, since millions of servers are there, it is somewhat difficult. And the next concept is, look, domain name is the text name. It is text name corresponding to numeric IP address of a computer, numeric IP address of the device. This domain name contains 3 or 2 parties separated by dot. As an IP address is also the numeric numbers, numeric character that are separated by dot. 4 byte or 4 decimal number that are separated by dot. If it is version 6, like that one. And the one very important point is that DNS categorize millions of applications on the web according to their fields of study log. DNS categorize millions of applications on the web according to their functionality, according to their fields of study, according to their interrelations. The related applications or the related resources are stored together and also given common names, or we use suffixes, common suffix. Look, the naming system assigns suffix to the name of an application to represent domain names of application. And the suffix of the application are separated by the dot. Now what I want to say is that millions of applications are there. Millions of applications on the internet are there. For example, videos are there for the YouTube, or Gmails are there. Different commercial applications are there. Those commercial applications are categorized or categorized together and given unique suffix. Unique suffix. They are categorized under certain suffixes. For example, look here. Here, internet standard domain names are there. edu for educational organization and for educational applications. com for commercial organization. .gov, each of them are separated by .edu, .com, .gov, .my, .net, .org, .int. Each of them are there. So now, for example, if they are educational organizations or the application is educational application, the domain name is given .edu. If it is commercial, .com. If it is government, .gov. If it is military, .mil. If it is network, .net. If it is organization for other than above, or we can say .org or .org, we can use. If it is international organization or international organization, we can call .int. And the most of the time, for the country code, we can use at the last 2 characters. For example, in case of Ethiopia, .it. Such like that. Look now, this means this DNS categorizes millions of applications on the web according to their fields of study, according to their applications. Categorize them. There are commercial organizations, there are government organizations, there are military organizations, there are educational organizations. Each of their resources should be given separated suffix. The naming system assigns suffix to the name of an application to represent domain names of the applications. The naming system assigns suffix to names of an applications. For example, if the organization is educational organizations, their applications assigned .edu suffixes. If it is military organizations, their applications assigns .mil suffixes. If it is commercial organizations, the applications of commercial organizations should assign .com suffixes. This is the most common internet standard domain names. This is all what I have for these domain naming systems. Summary. Domain name means the name which is corresponding to IP address. Some IP addresses. Now, IP address means unique number. unique number for each and every device on the computers as ID, as their ID, for identification purpose, as we can have an ID within our society. Computers, each and every device on the internet, each and every computer, mobile phones, each and every device on the internet, each and every node, servers, different networking device has their own unique IP address. Now, by the internet, we can access resources. Always, our device, our client can be connected to the servers and they can access the server resources. We means human being can access server resources through our clients. So to access the resource, many resources can be there, many servers can be there. So to remember to access each of the servers by their IP address is somewhat difficult. That's why this domain naming system is developed. This domain naming system is developed to convert domain names of the server to give the mnemonic name for the YouTube. I mean for the servers. Since to remember each of them by IP address is very difficult for human being, giving them the name that we can remember, giving them the keyword, the name, according to their resources, according to the resource that they can provide, giving them the name and the mapping this name into the IP address is what we call domain naming system, and there is a specific server to perform these functions, and the domain naming system, this domain naming system categorized many applications according to their organizations, and they give us a suffix, and then the common one is those one. This is all what I have for this video. If there is any ambiguous concept, if there is any ambiguity, you can raise by writing it down on my comments. Thank you for your time. Bye.